So today we're talking about hypermasculinity. And first, I want to just touch on, in Western culture and American culture, masculinity and femininity are defined by a rigid set of qualities or characteristics that are considered to be either male or female. Now, as a woman in American culture, I feel that I've been permitted to really flow between feminine and masculine energy characteristics, whereas I believe males are not afforded that same freedom in our present societal structures. How do you feel about that as a male in America?
I definitely agree with you on that because most men, especially in the Western cultures, they don't realize that they have feminine energy as well as masculine energy within them. Masculine and feminine energy is in men and women. It's just that for most men, if you're straight, your masculine energy is in the forefront. So we're taught that we need to neglect the feminine side of ourselves and just embrace the masculine side. And when you do that, that leads to destruction because the masculine side, the masculine energy is more of like a linear energy. And it denies feeling. It's all in the mind, But any man who is a genius who's an artist, like a great painter or a great poet, anything that a man creates, when he creates, he taps into his feminine energy to create because feminine energy is creative energy. So most men don't understand this concept. So when men deny the feminine side of themselves, they shut down a part of their humanity. And when you shut down that side, the feminine side of yourself, you have trouble expressing yourself. And so that leads into problems with relationships with people, with your woman, because you can't express yourself because you're denying the feminine part of you, the expressive part of yourself. So we don't know how to deal with our feelings when we just ignore the feminine side of ourselves. And like you said, it's hypermasculinity. Like we're taught that the only way to deal with situations is to deal with it in a linear way that's violent and macho. And when you're in that state, you're totally denying the feminine side of yourself. And embracing the feminine side of yourself does not mean being gay or being this and that. And it's not that there's nothing wrong with being gay or being bisexual, whatever you are. But we need to focus on educating each other about the importance of realizing that there's masculine and feminine energy within men and women and what those roles are and how to use the energies.
So when I titled this show, I had the question of survival skill or social setback, because for me what I was seeing was, the hypermasculinity that's come about in our society is in response to the evolution of our society and the way that men have been treated both by each other and by women. So for me, it's been a combination of a survival skill and a social setback, because whereas women have been allowed to evolve and embrace both of those energies more so, the men have not. And that, for me, I see is creating a disconnect between male and female. How do you feel about the idea of it being a survival skill versus a social setback?
Yeah, I definitely agree. And then on top of that, see, we're trained as men to be over-masculine and to deny our feminine side of ourselves. And then women, on the other hand, think that that way of being a man is the way a man is. So then you create a society where women desire a dysfunctional man, a man who's not balanced. So when that happens, so if a man if a man decides to tap into their feminine side and be more creative and expressive, and they're pursuing this woman, the woman will put a man down for tapping into that, and it will make a man feel emasculated. It will make the man feel like, oh, she think I'm gay or think I'm soft. So that's why so many men deny that part of themselves, because there's a lot of men that want to express that side of themselves, but they don't because they don't want to be judged and they don't want to be emasculated by society as a whole, not only from women, from their families, everybody, because everybody is programmed to think that a man is supposed to be super macho, a man's supposed to work on a car, super macho. You know, when something happens, you're supposed to beat him down. It's all about violence. That's the solution. Fight. And I'm not against defending yourself, because sometimes you have to defend yourself as a man and as a woman. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is, when you deal with hypermasculinity, it's almost like you're just trapped in your mind and you deny your feelings. And when you deny your feelings, you make stupid decisions. I shouldn't say stupid decisions. I would say you don't make wise decisions.
As a man, how do you believe men can break free from hypermasculinity and embrace both the masculine and feminine within while maintaining a sense of self? And then also, how can women support men in breaking free from that?
Okay, well, on both ends, I'll say on the man's end, first of all, it takes courage. It takes the courage for you to say, you know what, I'm going to be who I am, and I don't care what anybody thinks about me, you know. And that takes a lot of courage to take that stand. So until you can step into the courage and take that stand and be who you really want to be, you know, without worrying about what people think about you, you'll continue to be confined to that limited expression of yourself. And as far as women, for them to stop being supportive of that, they have to go within and do internal work too. Because if men and women both do the internal work and dig deeper, the universe will automatically lead them to information that explains masculine and feminine energy. So like I said earlier, you have to have the thirst and the craving for knowledge of something deeper. If that's not within you, you won't find the answers because you won't look for them. You'll only find the answers if you look for them. And most people don't even realize that they have the wrong answers, and they don't even realize that there are other options. There are other better ways and other options you can choose and better ways you can live your life. Most people are just trapped in this one-dimensional social programming construct, and they think this is the only way. Oh, and I want to say this. Another thing that would help men and women to break out of that box, stop watching television, number one. Stop letting television program your way of thinking. That's number one. You know, don't let the media dictate the way you think or the way you perceive things. Always use your own heart and your own judgment and perceive it the way you're perceiving it.
Now, along those lines, what do you feel are some cues or some symptoms that a man might be experiencing that would be signs that he may be suffering from hypermasculinity, that in some way hypermasculinity may be creating challenges within his life?
Homophobia.
Okay.
Men that express homophobia, that's a sure sign that they're uncomfortable with the feminine part of themselves. So what they do is they fight any other man that expresses it. It's being uncomfortable with that side of themselves. So they take it out on those that choose to express it freely.